Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror film reviews, ratings, rankings, and rumors. Now for your hosts, Danny, Joel, and Katrina.
Oh, yeah. This is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Crystal Katrina.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't think of these ahead of time. And we've got Jugular Joel.
Hey
I
guys,
feel like
what's
we're
up?
gonna be talking about a whole different movie.
There's no crystal in this movie, so I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, there's definitely some jugular.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about the 1981 film The Evil Dead.
Oh
Bum,
man.
bum, bum. All right, Joel, who is a part of this?
All right, so this one stars Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
He is the
Brucey.
star of such movies as Oz the Great and Powerful,
Oh,
Cars 2, and My Southern Family Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, I got something in my eye. I don't know what's
oh
wrong.
man.
Ugh. All right.
You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm fine. You know what's
Okay.
going on.
Becoming possessed.
Yeah.
I am, yeah.
I know, the eyes.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to his
Like a red eye filter or something.
eyes? Yeah.
Wouldn't be able to see him anyway. I can't really see my eyes. We got.
I feel like he's also been in
Oh, we're gonna
some
talk about him
others.
several other times. This is not the only movie he's in this franchise.
And he was in Black Friday. We talked about
Yeah.
that movie.
Yeah,
If you remember.
Black Friday. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Black Friday. That was
Yeah.
the Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah.
These are just 3 of the movies I'm going to be talking
Okay.
about here in the future. So we got Ellen Sandwise. She's Cheryl. She was in such classics as Satan's Playground,
Oh.
Yeah.
Brutal Massacre, a comedy.
Okay.
And The Evil Dead, the game, which Bruce Campbell and the other person I'm going to mention was also in. So, like voices, which came
The
out like
game.
not that long ago. Yeah, there's a new Evil Dead game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we got Betsy Baker. She's Linda. I'm gonna save that one for last. She was in Lake Erie, 96 Souls, and Secret Agent Dingledorf and his trusty dog Splat.
Wow.
Okay.
That sounds like a good one.
It was written by Sam Raimi. He wrote in 134 episodes, and he's the creator of Xena Warrior Princess. I didn't know about.
I did not know that. That's
Yeah. Dark Man and Spider-Man 3, which was the only one of his Spider-Man movies that he wrote. He didn't write the other 2 that he
Okay.
directed. Yeah.
Hmm.
And this was directed by Sam Raimi. He directed The Quick and the Dead, The Gift, and For Love of the
Oh,
Game.
The Gift.
Wait, which one? Which The Gift?
I think the 90s one, the one
Okay.
with not the one with Jason Bateman.
Okay. Oh man, that movie is. That's a
I think there
rough
was one in the
man.
90s. Yeah, I didn't do that one. And For Love of the Game, which is a Kevin Costner baseball movie. So.
Yeah.
And then Quick of the Dead is a Western, so he's all over the place.
Yeah. And he's a producer of a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
He has his own production company, I
I
think.
feel like producing is kind of like, you can, like, I'm sure a lot of the times they are involved pretty thoroughly. But sometimes you can just throw your money at a movie and be a producer. So
Yeah.
Like Michael Bay does that all the time.
Yeah.
He'll just throw his money around, and be like, "Oh." So
Okay.
he's a good one. Who's definitely not just horror. So
yeah. All right. So, The Evil Dead. The synopsis here is 5 friends travel to a cabin in the woods where they
course.
unknowingly release flesh-possessing demons.
Oh man, the old cabin in the woods cliche. That was
This is kind of where it started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The start of the cliche.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the start of a huge franchise for horror. Watching it, I think we can just go right. We can do spoilers throughout the whole episode.
I mean, the movie's like 40 years old.
I mean,
so
it's been out since the 80s. So.
All right.
Early 80s.
So that's warning now. If you haven't seen Evil Dead, you shouldn't call yourself a horror fan. And
alienate our fan base.
Okay, to be fair,
if you
for
haven't,
everyone
you
who
need to go watch it.
Seen it, pause this and know that this is my first time seeing it, so it's okay if you haven't seen it.
Well, if you want to be a real horror
judge.
fan, go watch it and then come back.
This is a horror staple in the horror community, so it's.
And there's a new one coming out, which is why we are reviewing these movies right now.
And I was forced to.
So this movie is crazy. It is. I've seen it a number of times now, probably like 5 times or something, and it never like ceases to amaze me with its just ridiculousness. And I mean, it's a creepy movie too. It's funny at times and kind of like looks kind of cheesy and dumb at times, but at other times it's genuinely creepy. And
hey, this was a student film from Sam Raimi, so before people can tear this movie apart or whatever, but a student film that's been turned into like a franchise that's still making movies 40 plus years later.
Yeah.
Spawned a TV show that lasted 3 seasons plus a video game. Yeah. I'm sure there's been other video games in like the 90s as well, but one that just recently came out is incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this movie to me still holds up. Like it's still a creepy movie and still one of the best in the franchise. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna say right now, I think it's my favorite of the franchise, but I haven't seen the other ones in a while.
The remake's close, but yeah, it's. I remember when the remake came out. Me and Danny were roommates, and we watched the original first, and then went into the remake, and there was this creepiness about the first one that you don't quite get in the remake.
Yeah,
and even though the effects are more up to date and everything is more up to date, it's definitely bloodier than the original. The remake is, but as far as it being creepy, this one's still it still holds up for sure.
Yeah. So Katrina, being that this is your first time viewing this, what were your thoughts on it?
So I went into this movie not wanting to watch it. Very much being pushed into it. Because all I knew of Evil Dead was the TV show that you watch. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh my gosh, the scariest thing to just walk into seeing. Or it
woke you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was sleeping on the couch and I was watching it. This was I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And it's like the first episode, and one of the characters, like the scary one, the demons, is like,
Mhm.
jumps out or whatever, and it like woke her up, and she looked at the screen and got to see the demon possessed Evil Dead, characters.
Yeah.
So that was her first
Yeah.
experience with
Yeah.
it.
So I was expecting this just crazy, scary, can barely look at the screen movie. I was very much pleasantly surprised that it was actually a very enjoyable movie for the most part. There was one part that was absolutely disturbing and was not fun or not something I wanted to watch.
Did it have anything to do with a tree?
Yes. That part could have been taken out of the movie. They could have done that in a much different way. And been and still had a decent movie.
Mhm.
That part was just disturbing and took it way too far. Like it really made me wonder about this writer and this Sam guy.
The Sam.
Really made me wonder about him and think, I think we might need to look into his
I felt more like a Rob Zombie thing than a Sam Raimi
Yeah.
thing. So
yeah, but aside from that scene, this movie was fun. It was fun. I loved that. Well, I loved the like first person aspect of it. How you didn't ever really see the being until they were in the cabin, I guess, right? They were in the cabin and being, the girl actually becomes the being. But before that, you don't even see it, but you're experiencing it. And so that was really cool. I liked that aspect of it. I also like that it didn't take itself too seriously. Like at first, when it first like possessed this woman, it was like, whoa, that's creepy, And then by the time she like fell down the stairs and she turns into like this dummy doll, it was like, okay, this is silly.
Well, they didn't have the money for like a stunt double or something.
Yeah.
It's just like...
So I appreciated though that once they didn't have the money for anything further, then they didn't try too hard to like still make it seem like it's real. It was like ridiculous to that point.
Yeah, there's definitely certain parts where it's like, okay, that's clearly an animatronic, or that's clearly like a doll that they put together real quick.
Yeah.
And like, the like they'd be like scratching you at one point, but the blood is in like the wrong spot. Where like all the blood came, and then when they kill the spirit, it squirts out milk. Like like the milk
turns into like this claymation kind of like kind of thing.
There's this other I think it's a YouTube show that our son watches that
Don't hug me, I'm scared.
Oh
like that.
You've heard of that?
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it reminded me of when it like started like transforming into this like kinetic sand thing. It made me think of that. So yeah.
I mean,
but for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. He was going for creativity with that. Like it wasn't anything. I don't think it was intentionally supposed to be like, to our today's standards. Like it looks a little cheesy, but back then, especially since it was like a student project and everything, it was taken. I'm sure it was taken very seriously. You might like the second one more if you're finding like the humor in this one, because that one was supposed to be like more like slapstick and less horror, more like comedy, like a mix of the two. This was supposed to be a straight horror movie, which I feel like for the most part, like there were some moments, like you were saying with, there were some, to today's standards, a little cheesy. Like it was kind of cheesy, but I still, for the most part, it was still a very good movie, and still had that creepy factor. That girl, I think she was in this one, who just like wouldn't stop laughing and like giggling.
His
and
girlfriend.
Yeah, she got kind of annoying after a while, but she was still pretty creepy too.
Yeah.
At times.
I liked that style of like that she was just laughing, because it made it more creepy. Like that, like
unnerving.
creepy, like what the heck is she gonna do?
Yeah.
And their fight scene in the woods, oh my gosh. It's like this animatronic doll. It's pretty funny. But
so this is the birth of one of the most iconic characters in horror, Ash.
Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley.
Ash.
Yeah. It's called Ashley.
His
quite a few
sister
times.
was like, Ash. Yeah.
And I had forgot, because I always thought of this movie as, okay, Ash is not really Ash in this movie. He really becomes this character in the second one, in Army of Darkness, and then in the TV show. But he does kind of turn toward the end when it gets really chaotic. Kind of like losing his mind, and then he becomes the final guy, right?
Yeah.
It definitely gets amplified in the other movies, where it's like he's now this like action hero kind of in the other ones. And this one, he's the final guy, but he kind of has to overcome, because he was kind of the guy that was just standing off, up against the wall or in the corner, like not wanting
scared.
Not wanting to get involved and scared. And then it comes to the point where he's the only one left.
I loved the fact that they made him the like the hero at the end of the movie, because if you didn't know who Bruce Campbell was, and it's your first time watching this movie, you really like he's more of a character that dies first. Like he was like sitting in the back seat of the car. He's not really like being noticed by people. He's not really talking very much. And he's just like a whatever character. He's more of a throwaway character than what he turns out to be. Knowing that Bruce Campbell is Ash, and going into it like knowing he's the main character, you see who he becomes later. But he's if it were any other movie, any other character, that character would have been dead like within the first hour of the movie.
Been one of the first ones.
Yeah. That character was just like it was kind of boring for a while there until he doesn't have a choice but to fight back. So,
but he was the one that everyone was looking to for protection. Like, well, I mean, not everyone, but like the girls, all the girls were like, Ash, like the sister, the girlfriend, even the other girl, like more so could count on him than her boyfriend, because the boyfriend was like the jerk guy, the guy who wasn't very compassionate, Yeah. And so everyone was looking to him for protection.
He was kind of like the level-headed guy, like kind of the
like, what do we do
what
now?
are we gonna do?
Yeah. Why are her eyes like that? Did you see her eyes? Oh my gosh.
So That's my favorite part. So,
Oh,
well, I mean, not exactly that.
not the
but,
eyes.
yeah.
That part.
But
Yeah.
when
I think it's
what
my
makes her
favorite too.
say that
Yeah.
is so the one girl goes out, gets what happens to her
Violated.
with the tree, and eventually they're back in the cabin. These two other girls are playing this game where you pick up a card and the other one has to guess what it is, and the other one is guessing completely wrong, but the girl's saying, "Oh my gosh, you got it right." And so they're flipping through the cards, and then you hear another voice saying all the cards correct. And then it shows that it's that girl who was, with the tree, looking outside. And then she turns and she's just demonic. Like her eyes are all white. She's got this new voice now that's like crazy creepy.
Yeah.
Doing all this contortion, and she starts floating. And
Yeah.
that part is like, oh my gosh, that is what scares me in horror movies. I feel like that's like The Exorcist. That's like that type of horror. I feel like it peaked right there with that style of horror. Then it kind of went off the rails, got a little more crazy with the effects, and
they lost all their funding.
it went way further. But that was scary. Like that scene right there is like, oh man, that'll get me every time. Like that's pure horror right there. So I love that scene. But then after that, it's like, what? Did you see her eyes? What happened to her eyes?
Yeah, and then they throw her down the basement.
The stairs.
Oh my gosh. And then they're like hitting her down, and she's like still the human, like with her face painted or whatever. And then at one point they get her down far enough that now it's just like this doll bouncing.
Yeah.
And it looks completely different. Like the hair is like a different color. And
even in the woods later when he's fighting his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And
it was like they replaced her with the doll. That doll that was in the
changing color. Gets her head off, and it's like a totally different color. Then it's back to her.
Yeah. There's definitely some goofs that I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just like, I don't know. It's clear.
Yeah. It probably wasn't intentional. I mean, he was what, in his early 20s when he did it. He was just like, it's it's a project. I'm not taking this too seriously, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was probably like not intentional, but 40 years later, you can definitely see it.
Yeah. And it definitely looked like a project. It definitely looked like this. I was thinking like a high school like film.
I think it was
project,
college.
But I mean, back in the 80s, I don't know if they were doing high school film, but they, it looked like a film project. But at the same time, it was done in a way that, I mean, obviously, that it still held up.
Yeah.
And has continued to build more and more story to it. And so it wasn't a high school project or it wasn't a project in the way that it wasn't like a good story and everything. But it was they didn't even have much story really to it. There wasn't much character development. There wasn't much like to the story. It was like we get there, we go find this book, and then then stuff starts happening and it goes crazy.
It really gets right to the point.
Yeah. But the way it was done, the way it was filmed was definitely a project. Like it was definitely like low budget, just like let's do what we got.
Yeah, definitely. The low budget feel.
Mm.
But like Joel said, the creativity behind it with the camera work with the the first person like zooming
Yeah.
around,
that was awesome.
knocking the trees over and stuff, and
Mhm.
breaking through the cabin doors and everything, and
The claymation.
yeah, the claymation,
claymation
whatever
was
that was. Yeah, all
And
that stuff.
the tapioca pudding coming out of it.
Gotta use what you got.
Yeah.
You got some tapioca pudding in this cabin?
Yeah.
Got any cottage cheese?
Yeah.
So, and like milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting thing. When we first watched it, we were watching it on the
Oh yeah.
streaming, like
Yeah.
Prime Video or something like that. And then when we wanted to recap some of it, and so we were like, wait, we have the movie, let's put it on the DVD. It looks
It's
so
a Blu-ray.
a Blu-ray.
Okay.
Sorry. And it was Blu-ray. Like it looked so different.
Hmm.
And I feel like I wish that we would have seen the whole movie that way,
Mhm.
because I felt like I was really confused at certain parts because I couldn't even barely see,
Hmm.
like, where are they right now? Like, are they
Yeah.
like where in the cabin? Like, how did they just get to this other like weird dark place in this cabin? But when we turned it on the Blu-ray,
Yeah.
you could see that it was clearly a room, like they were
Yeah.
going somewhere.
Wow, it was that dark on
Yeah,
the
it was weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird, and there were like definitely things that I couldn't tell what was going on.
Mhm.
I don't remember. There were other things that I asked you, like, what is he doing or something? And it was, I can't remember what it was, but
Gotta watch the other ones on Blu-ray now.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't believe I like didn't think, because I'd been watching the Blu-rays of the show,
Mhm.
and I have it all
Oh.
in one box, like all in one
A
case.
box set.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know why I didn't think
Yeah.
the movie on with the Blu-ray.
Huh.
But yeah, and something I wanted to say about that too is I feel like this is a type of movie where it's meant to be seen on a old TV, a VHS.
Mhm.
Like if you're watching it that way with some of the, grainy
Yeah.
filter and, not the greatest sound and all that, I don't think you're going to notice as many of the
Yeah.
flaws.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's going to kind of sneak by you.
Yeah, because even like at the end when like everything turns to ash or whatever it's doing, like when he burns the book
Mhm.
and it all like
Those what now?
the yeah. With the Blu-ray we could see like the color of everything
Yeah, it's
changing,
like
the
super
color.
bright.
I don't think you're
And it
supposed
was
to
like
see
this
that.
bright blue color. Like even
Yeah.
like there was at one point like blood coming down his mouth. Whose
Yeah.
mouth was
It
that?
was one of
Remember.
the
I think it was like
demons.
the guy. But it was like there's blood here, but then here it was like blue. Like, is that even supposed to be blue? Or like, on the old TVs,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Mhm.
the coloring's not as good. So
Yeah.
what
And
was that supposed to be?
that's kind of like a thing these days too. Like people are collecting VHSs now,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and especially for horror films.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like especially like old ones. And I think that people are maybe noticing that, like these ultra HD, TVs with the Blu-ray players and
They'll
all that.
catch
These movies
everything.
are not meant for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins the magic a little
Well, and
bit.
it ruins the feel of
Yeah.
it because I really didn't feel super creeped out with
Yeah.
this movie. Definitely with the good lighting and everything that the Blu-ray adds, it does lose a lot of the creepy
Yeah.
feel to it.
Mhm.
It
Yeah, I
didn't
can
feel
see that.
creepy. It was quite hilarious. Like, but it made it more fun for me because I mean I've seen the trailer for the new Evil Dead and I'm like, oh no way. I don't
think-
know how I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah, you got to get through the reboot first before you get to that
Yeah.
one, and that can get pretty intense too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the remake.
Mhm.
The story. There's definitely a much bigger story in the remake.
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good story. Okay. So I wanted to talk about some trivia for this one.
Oh,
I think there
okay.
should be some
Yeah.
good stuff. I have not screened these, so we're just gonna go through them.
Are we just gonna do all of them, or
No, just
Okay.
some of them. Okay, so the cabin used as the film set was also lodging for 13 crew members, with several people sleeping in the same room. Living conditions were terrible, and the crew frequently
sure.
argued. The cabin didn't have plumbing, so the
Mm.
actors went days without showering and fell ill frequently in the freezing weather. By the end of production, they were burning furniture to stay warm.
Wow.
Oh, this
Jeez.
is okay. This is just like facts, fun
Yeah,
facts
about the movie. Yeah.
You said
Yeah.
trivia, so I was
Oh.
waiting for like a question.
Oh no. Yeah.
And
yeah.
so okay, so you're doing fun facts.
Fun facts. Yes,
Okay.
we'll call it that. Yeah, I'm not testing you guys.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, what's the
How many
question in
people
this?
stayed at the cabin?
Yeah, I'm like waiting for what the question is going to end up being.
I
Is
wonder
this
how
true or
long-
false?
Yeah, I wonder how long it took to film this. If 13 people were in this one cabin for the entirety of the,
Yeah.
I wonder how long it took to film it. Like that does not sound fun at all.
No.
13 crew members.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
So
that small cabin.
Hmm.
No showers.
Yeah.
so that's a pretty
Cold. No
Big-
plumbing.
well, and that's a pretty big team.
Well, you're involving the cast in that too, so it's
yeah,
there's-
there wasn't a big cast.
no, there
Yeah,
wasn't.
but you got
But there's-
cameraman, director.
Well,
Well,
no,
all
I'm
those
saying
people.
for like a school project.
Oh.
Like
Okay.
for a school project, you wouldn't have like a
Well,
huge team,
yeah.
Sam,
That's
I
kinda
know.
cool.
I know. I don't know about everyone else, but I know Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were friends at this point. So Bruce, like these people could have done it for like cheap or for free,
Mhm.
just to help with this school project. So could be family members of Sam Raimi too. I know his brother has been in several
that
of his
does sound-
movies.
Definitely.
He wasn't in this one though, but he's been in them. So he could have been behind the scenes. He could have been one of the cast members and you know, other family and friends as well.
Okay, so Andy Granger, a friend of Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, gave them this advice. Fellas, no matter what you do, keep the blood running down the screen. They included the scene in the finished film where the blood runs down the projector screen as a tribute to him.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay, that's cool.
Nice.
That was another one that I felt like I think that was another scene that I felt like it looked better actually without the Blu-ray.
Hmm.
Because without the Blu-ray, like with the Blu-ray, you could tell it was running down the projector but without the Blu-ray, it was a little more distorted. And so it was almost like the whole entire screen was turning red. It was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Hmm.
But
All right, at the end of principal shooting in Tennessee, the crew put together a little time capsule package and buried it inside the fireplace of the cabin as a memento of the production to whomever found it. The cabin has since been destroyed, and only the fireplace is still intact. Okay.
I'm confused about that. At the end of principal shooting
That's
Mhm.
like
in Tennessee.
the main shooting, like the
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
The original script called for all the characters to be smoking marijuana when they are first listening to the tape. The actors
Man.
decided to try this for real, and the entire scene had to be later reshot due to their uncontrollable behavior.
Oh, wow. How much do they smoke? The crazy, uncontrollable uncontrollable behavior, man. That one
They were
joint.
possessed.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is like when they're listening to it, and then
Yeah.
she's like, she goes from here to here. She's like, turn it off. Turn it off. Crazy.
Yeah, she freaks out super
Like,
fast. Okay, Bruce Campbell put up his family's property in northern Michigan as collateral so that Sam Raimi not only could finish the film but also blow it up to
Wow.
35 millimeter film, which was required for a theatrical release. Raimi was so grateful for his financial contribution, he credited him as a co-producer.
That's crazy.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to read this.
The blood is a combination of Caro syrup, non-dairy creamer, and red food coloring. At one point, Bruce Campbell's shirt that he wears in the film was so saturated with the fake blood that after drying it by the fire, the shirt became solidified and broke when he tried to put it on.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
That's funny. After completing principal photography in the winter of 1980, most of the actors left the production. However, there was still much of the film to be completed. Most of the second half of the film features Bruce Campbell and various stand-ins or fake shemps, okay, to replace the actors who left. So I
Why didn't they
wonder.
just
That's why they
come
had
back?
the,
Yeah, that's why they had some of the dolls and stuff,
Mhm.
probably.
that's what they made
Okay.
fake shimps.
Yeah. Okay.
Why didn't they just come back to finish filming? Like,
Well, it was a horrible experience, it sounds like.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were like,
Yeah.
forget you guys.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Wow.
Because and especially with Bruce being the main character at the end, like the last
Well, I
15,
wonder
20
if that was
minutes.
their plan.
Yeah. Well,
Or
he's
if-
the friends with Sam Raimi, so
Yeah.
that probably was.
I want to know what the budget and how much they made off this movie was.
All right. Well, I will tell you in a moment.
All right.
Director Sam Raimi and star Bruce Campbell were friends from high school, where they made many Super 8 films together. They would often collaborate with Sam's brother, Ted Raimi. Campbell became the actor of the group, as he was the one that girls wanted to look
Oh.
at.
This is something that I was telling you that is really cool. I don't feel like I can't think of another horror movie where there's a final guy rather than a final girl.
There is one that I can think
Okay.
of. Do you know which one I'm going to say, Joel?
Trying to think. So it doesn't happen very often, but I don't know what you're gonna say.
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Oh yeah,
Freddy's Revenge.
true. Yeah.
Okay. But the other thing that I appreciate about this movie is something I can't stand about like 70s, 80s horror movies, and still to this day, is the obsession around showing the girls topless and just like running naked and everyone having sex with each other and all that.
So you're
can't
talking about
stand
Friday
all
the
that.
13th in particular.
And that and so many of them. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Halloween has it. I'm sure that
More so in the first one.
Yeah.
Not in a lot of the other ones.
yeah.
Hey, some guys are topless too. They take their shirts off. And,
All right, let's see if there's anything else. Oh, the white contact lenses were very painful to wear. They covered half the eye and had to be taken out every 15 minutes to allow the eyes to breathe.
Wow. Oh, so they were white contact
Jeez.
lenses. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is it was like the whole eye though.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Well, I guess
covered half the eye.
I mean, the other part of our eye is white.
It's white, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, most of the demon POV shots, which is the point of view, first person, that glide across the ground were shot by mounting the camera to a 2x4 while Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell ran along holding either side.
Wow.
That's cool.
I mean, it does
That's-
look like someone just running through. So
Yeah.
It feel I don't know, like it felt smoother than, because like it's gonna be jumping up and down and all over if you're like running with
true.
it.
Yeah, it does
Kind of crazy. It
pretty
felt
good.
smoother than that. No, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
At the premiere screening for The Evil Dead, blood donor stations were given free tickets to the movie along with pin badges stated, "I bled for the Evil Dead" to blood donors.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's funny. And then producer Robert Tapert joked in an interview that it was their way of giving blood back to the community after so much fake blood was used. That's funny. All right. The film ran out of money, and only half of it was completed in the winter of 1980. In order to complete it, Sam Raimi, Robert Tapper, and Bruce Campbell did everything they could to complete the film, taking out high-interest bank loans, borrowing money from friends and family, even making cold calls to businesses around their hometown state of Michigan. The cold calls worked in that they actually got catering, gasoline, and other necessities that the cast and crew needed.
Wow.
Wow.
How cool to be able to say that you had a piece in that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, there's some other stuff, but I mean, we only have so much time here. So
Yeah.
I do want to look at the budget and profit. So let's take a look at that. This was actually
Oh.
rated NC-17
Yeah.
as
yeah.
well,
I saw that.
which is interesting.
Well, I think the primary reason for that, one is the time that it came out, but two is that freaking
The tree.
tree.
Yeah.
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 That
Yeah.
scene was just so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I would definitely give this score, I mean, rate this movie so much higher without that scene.
Fair enough. So this movie actually has a much higher budget than I thought. $350,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Estimated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's why because they ran out of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
it probably cost them a whole lot more than they originally planned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but I
probably
mean,
took
back
a
in
whole lot
1980,
longer.
350,000. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it does not. I mean, you look at like movies nowadays, like Terrifier. That didn't even cost that much.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this movie definitely looks like it's less than 350,000. At least
I think
the way
the budget between Terrifier 1 and 2 was about 350. So it's
between the two combined.
between the two.
Well,
Yeah.
my thought is, I think that you've gotten to the point where you have like more, I don't know, you're able to film a lot
There's
quicker.
more resources.
There's a more,
Yeah.
And so there's so many staff doing this.
Yeah.
Plus they're, it's taking a lot longer to film it. And so you have to think about the lodging for that,
Right.
I
And the
mean,
equipment,
Mm-hmm.
was probably, there wasn't so much of it. It wasn't widely produced. The equipment was probably expensive.
yeah,
Mhm.
because I'm sure they were using like high end equipment
Yeah.
that was hard to come by.
Yeah.
Then.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the gross, and I'm thinking this is while it was in theaters, because it's definitely made more money than this since, but 2.4 million.
Oh yeah, it's way more than that at this point. Like,
So yeah.
nice.
So there you go. All right. So let's go ahead and rate this. Joel, you go first.
Me? All right. I've always loved this movie. I don't even remember the first time I saw it. I think it was even before we were roommates that I watched it for the first time. So it's been a while. Still holds up for me. I'm gonna say, because there's also other movies after this one too, so I got to be careful with my rating. Don't want to go too high or too low. I'm gonna go 89.
Okay,
Wow.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, I'm doing 82.
All right.
Okay.
I was way more pleasantly surprised by this movie than I thought I'd be, and I thought this was going to be getting like a 60.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go 91.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually the
So-
number I was thinking of. I was like, oh, I'll go slightly lower.
I think this is my favorite of the series, of the franchise. It's just, it has a certain charm to
Mhm.
it. It's kind of
It
like
does.
you're just not going to be able to recapture what this movie had.
Mhm.
You know, I know that they, have a 2 and a, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, but they already kind of had this to go off of.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, I like to take that into consideration too. So I'll give it a 91.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
And this is the thing. I'm wondering if my score might change after seeing the other ones.
Yeah.
And if I watch it fully on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I can track it a little better. What's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big change from Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
It's,
There is
big
a
change
big
in
tonal change.
and then Army of Darkness is a complete contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All three of those movies are just completely different.
Yeah.
From each
I
other.
remember watching Army of Darkness for the first time and just dying laughing.
Yeah.
Rewinding scenes.
Yeah, there was one scene.
Again, and,
Okay,
I haven't seen
so-
it in a long time, but
Okay. So how do you guys feel about where it's gone? Because it started as, well, I guess it started as like intentionally supposed to be like a horror,
Mhm.
full on horror movie, but then it kind of like ended up being a little funny. So
Yeah.
then it turned into
Yeah.
like this comedy type thing.
yeah.
And then the show,
The show
I
is a
don't see it
mix.
as a comedy.
Oh, it's
my
definitely a mix.
It's definitely slapstick like
Yeah.
humor throughout the.
Well, I
the
only saw
show.
a couple scenes.
Yeah.
yeah, like Ash like bonking his head on stuff,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
like his one-liners, and
Yeah.
some of his attitude and some of the stuff
Okay.
he says, and there's definitely some comedy
Okay.
in
Yeah.
there, and the over the top, just
And
Mhm.
so
ridiculous.
it's turned into like this comedy, and then you see the trailer for this new one,
definitely
and
not
that
comedy.
is
the new
that is
the,
intense.
the new one has more of a feel of the reboot than any of the original three.
So is the
And the
reboot
show.
only the first one? Like there's only a reboot of the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a straight horror. Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
that one is.
Yeah. There's no comedy in that one.
No,
So does Sam Raimi, right? Does he have anything to do with the reboot or this new one?
He's producing.
producing. Yeah,
Him
Okay.
and Bruce Campbell are both producing.
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
is Bruce Campbell in the new one?
No.
Okay.
No, he wasn't. Well, he was in a tiny little after credit scene in the reboot.
Yeah.
but it
Didn't mean
Oh.
anything.
Oh.
But
Nothing.
yeah.
The reboot either.
No.
Oh, okay.
the Fede Alvarez, the guy who did
Don't breathe.
Don't Breathe 2,
Okay.
wrote and directed. Well, I don't know if he wrote, but he definitely directed the Evil Dead reboot.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, he didn't do the
I don't know
new
if he wrote
one.
it,
But I think the new one's completely different.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so the franchise has kind of been all over the place. But
So how do you feel about that?
I like the more horror.
Mhm.
Okay.
I like this one. This
okay.
is my favorite one.
Yeah, but do you like the reboot better than
The reboot and this one are probably my top 2.
Okay.
I have to watch them again though.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I know it's really hard to compare them though, because they're so
Mhm.
different. Like Army of Darkness is hilarious,
It's not scary
but it's not
like,
scary at all.
at all.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's like comparing Halloween to Anchorman or something. Like you can't really do that.
Anchorman, man.
Like a straight comedy to a straight horror. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we're gonna review Army of Darkness only because it's part of the franchise.
Yeah.
If it would, I mean, it's really kind of a movie it's not even called Evil Dead.
Mm-mm.
It's only part of the franchise because Ash
Because of Ash.
is in it, and it's following him.
Mhm.
Mm.
It's really a separate story.
Yeah.
So, but we'll review it because it's part of the franchise.
Mm.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. I like the more horror stuff, but Ash is super fun, and you know,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you can't dislike Ash.
Okay. So Joel, what about you?
Because there's so much of a change between the original 3 movies, I'm totally fine with them just branching off and doing their own Evil Dead thing for as long as they want to do it. I don't care as long as they keep it horror. And they don't, it's one of those franchises that it doesn't have to have Ash in it to be a good movie. You don't need to have
Oh.
any of the original characters at all
Yeah.
to continue with their story. You can do something completely different in every movie going forward, and it doesn't really matter to me. It's just
Yeah, it's really just about the
Okay.
book,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's just some random strangers can find the
Mhm.
book, and
Anyone can
Come
find that
across
book.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just
yeah,
so
Interesting.
in that way, it's actually genius that that the original 3 weren't really connected much besides Ash, because I don't think most people care if they continue on with the Evil Dead movies and just do their own thing with it,
Mhm.
because there's really no continuation whatsoever besides Ash being in it. And the book is the only thing that you need in order to keep the movies alive. But anybody can find that book. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So the book was burnt up at the end.
Or was
true.
it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what
Yeah.
happens in 2.
Okay.
We'll have to watch it and find
Okay.
out how
Yeah.
it
Because
comes back.
It's
like-
evil. I mean, it could just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the book was burnt up, but then the being was still there because
Yeah.
it was like it went in back into that first person or
Yeah.
POV, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and then went into Ash.
Yeah.
And
So
he's
we'll
like,
see. Well, and so Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead, Ash versus Evil Dead TV series, it really makes Ash the like the savior of humanity.
Mhm.
So he's really important to be in the movies
mm,
because of that story.
Yeah.
But that's more of the Ash story, right? So but you can have other versions or other characters that find the books and they can have their own stuff going on.
Mhm.
But really, Ash is the only one that can save the world. So, I mean, if we're ever going to end Evil Dead, Ash
Gotta
has
bring Ash back.
Yeah.
Or their version has to have an Ash in it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't
gotta
have
have-
to be Bruce Campbell. It can be somebody
yeah,
else.
because what makes Ash so special to being
He's
able
the Hefe.
Well, I don't get that phrase. I'm like annoyed with that. I keep hearing
She's
it.
been because I've been watching the show and she'll like
Mhm.
catch it like just parts here and there, and Pablo keeps calling him Jefe, and it means like chief or like boss in
Yeah.
Spanish. And in the book, or not in the book, but his uncle was like this witch doctor guy, and he would always tell Pablo about the Jefe, is going to save the world. And so when all this started happening, Pablo was like, "You're the Jefe," and so that's why he keeps calling him that.
Oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy.
Gotta watch the show. It's
I
good.
know. I know.
It's
I know, I'm on season 2.
nice.
Yeah, he's just going ahead and watching the show, and then I'm just starting on movie 1. So
Hey, movie comes out pretty soon.
It does. Couple months.
Gotta get there. So
All right.
this has
So
been Scare Talk.
so look out
He's ready
for
to
the rest
leave.
of the Evil Dead franchise, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and the reboot. And we might get to the show, depending on if I can finish it.
Too.
Okay. We have to get to the show
Part of it.
before the new one, Evil Dead Rise, comes out.
You got to rewatch it, right?
Yeah. And then we'll review that one and then probably do a ranking after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I am down.
Well,
Like us.
yeah, go ahead and like this video.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Make a comment. Leave a
All
comment
that
down
fun
below.
stuff.
And yeah, this has been our review for The Evil Dead, and this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Ash bite.